Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. As a kid, like many my age, I was a fan of He-Man. And sure, by today's standards, the old cartoon doesn't have the best animation around, and the complex themes weren't very complex. But hey, it was an 80s toy commercial, what do you expect?
Ooh, looks like Reaganomics is making a comeback.
However, in the early 2000s, it was revamped in a new cartoon and series from Image Comics. I'm taking issue with the Masters of the Universe miniseries, so let's see if this comic holds the power of Grayskull, or just hits us with a lot of alliterative insults. The first issue has 3 different covers. Cover B nicely shows several heroes striking poses for battle, while the other 2 are wraparounds of the heroes in battle against the villains. Cover A's style is more in line with the cartoon, and C's is more painted, if I'm not mistaken very reminiscent of the package art for the toys. The battle also feels much more congested, with opponents much closer to one another compared to Cover A. Written by Val Staples, with art by Emiliano Santalucia and Marco Fila, we begin with a splash page of Snake Mountain.
I must possess the secrets of the ancients. Then at last, my brownies will win the blue ribbon at the county fair.
Skeletor is alone, ranting to himself, desperate to break into Castle Grayskull and willing to drain the Shakaran crystal to do so. I guess this is supposed to be a big deal, but since we have no context for this glowing chandelier ornament, it doesn't offer that much investment so far. But it's apparently something he's used for years, only for it to now knock him back into a wall, likely exhausting any usefulness. Maybe there's more to the bauble, but the secrets of Grayskull are far greater. So Skeletor ascends a small staircase to his throne, and broods about those castle walls crumbling as the mystic wall fell before it.
Until then, maybe I should install an escalator for my throne. Some days after fighting pun-named superheroes, it's just too much effort walking all the way up here.
By use of a magic mirror, he's secretly watched by Evil-Lyn, who thinks that his years of obsessing over the power of the ancients has made him weaken his grip over his domain, and passed over greater opportunities. You ignore what lies beneath your nose. Well, yeah. He lost it with the rest of his face a long time ago and doesn't remember where he last saw it. And the janitorial staff certainly wasn't any help. His alleged distractions have also made it easier for Lyn to watch him undetected, analyzing him for weaknesses, and eventually, she hopes, crush him, as she throws a striped skull against her wall, shattering it. Well, deposing him isn't going to hurt half as much when he finds out you broke that gift he made you at summer camp. She continues monologuing to herself about hearing the Shakaran crystal call to her, despite her evil leader's attempt to magically conceal it, and she displays a hologram of a shard, meaning she's seeking to harness its inner power as well. Maybe she's thinking about opening up one of those healing crystal shops or something. We cut to a forest months later, with impish wizard Orko lamenting ending up on Eternia when his magic was greater, I guess, on his homeworld of Trolla, and he can't find out why it's changed. He admits things could have been worse, but dislikes the practice he feels is necessary to improve his powers. He recalls the previous day, where Man-at-Arms was working on some machinery and asked Orko to hold a green cable steady, but he insisted on using magic, which ended up with the machinist wrapped in cords and wires. He was crushed to death, and Orko is currently on the run from Eternian law. Also, maybe this is because I'm used to seeing him with his helmet on, but I never figured Man-At to pull his hair into a tail. Shenanigans didn't end there, however, with an attempt at indoor stars shining during the day becoming a fire hazard, which got him thoroughly chewed out by the king and queen very publicly. Turns out Eternian royalty likes their employee reviews to be extra humiliating. In the here and now, and tired of practicing, Orko figures there must be an easier way to improve, when he comes upon some old ruins. After his medallion bumps into one of the stone carvings, he gets pulled inside, landing in a room with 3 stone figures reaching for a crystal, held by a skeletal hand. He went to Jared's before meeting a gruesome death hundreds of years ago, but still, Jared's! We go to the palace grounds, where Prince Adam is concerned about how his new role as He-Man will affect those around him, as well as his social life because teenager. Man-at-Arms tells him to look on the bright side, like the opportunity to do great things with the power at his disposal, when Eternia most needs it.
Because if it's one thing that everyone knows teens love and get motivated by, it's added responsibility.
Manny goes on that the young prince was chosen for a reason and should not abuse his power, while cautioning him against those who would use his loved ones in order to abuse that power. An emergency call comes in of a fire spreading quickly in a nearby city, and though rescue teams are on the way, it seems like a good enough time as any for the power of Grayskull to do its thing.
By the power of Grayskull!
Eternian firefighters are already on the scene, but running low on the H2O.
Oh no! James Tynion IV is a guest writer on this issue! We're done for!
When He-Man arrives, he notes how this part of the city has a solid foundation, meaning he can strike the ground with his sword, create a handhold crack, because he plans to lift the entire fiery portion off the ground. Because physics is really more of a stern suggestion for the most powerful man in the universe, I guess. However, before he can try this idea out, it begins snowing, and soon enough the blaze is gone.
That's the good news. The bad news is that the Eternian retailers are already starting to play non-stop Christmas music in their shops.
Orko appears, revealing that he put the fires out and dubs himself the greatest sorcerer in the world, and getting rather terse with a skeptical man-at-arms for having previously mocked him. He even accuses the surrounding citizens of not knowing the true Orko, and even suggests he could easily crush them. Muscles asks him what's up, and the imp seems to snap out of it, even begging Man-at-Arms for forgiveness for snapping at him. When asked about the crystal, Orko explains he found it wandering in the evergreen forest, and thought it might make a nice apology gift to the king and queen, but when he noticed it stabilized his magic, it seemed a better idea to hang on to it and make sure he didn't cause any more mistakes. Manny suggests it's a little more than a charm. The storm you created was of incredible strength, something few sorcerers on Eternia could conjure.
Really? He caused a little snow to fall and then the fire just disappeared. There isn't even any lingering smoke or ash left over. I'm pretty sure Aurora Monroe creates stronger weather when she sneezes.
Call it a nitpick if you want, but I feel the art could have better portrayed Orko's powers putting out the fires, since it looks like it just disappears after a little snow and doesn't look like there was even any wind. Anyway, answers to the nature of the crystal may well lie within Castle Grayskull, so Man-at-Arms and He-Man head out to ask the sorceress, with Orko insisting on tagging along. All the while, they're observed by a drone watched by Evil-Lyn.
Looks like that $9.99 a month subscription to Eternia Plus wasn't such a bad idea after all.
The beginning of the story is not exactly exciting. It sets some things up fine enough. Orko bumbling himself a mysterious crystal, Evil-Lyn plotting behind Skeletor's back, and that's all fine. But for something based on an action property, we don't get a whole lot of that. When our main hero is actually called to do something, he's basically stopped before doing it. Though it was implausible, it could have at least been visually impressive. While it probably saved He-Man an Eternian hernia, a He-Turnia, if you will, it wouldn't surprise me if this was not enough for readers to wait an entire month for the next issue.
I, on the other hand, will only make you wait 1 week. I'm the Angry Spork, and man have I got issues.